Welcome to OneSoccer's second player and pundit hangout. I'm Ace Raymond, joined once again by Kurt Larson, Oliver Platt, and a special guest today on the show, York9's midfielder Chris Mannella. And we're calling today's show OneSoccer ISO Can Connection. That's what we came up with for this one. Should be a lot of fun.
You're not Woody Page. You're not Woody Page, buddy. You're not Woody Page. Stop trying.
That's what we have for today, though. That's what we're going to go with. And we have some breaking news to start this show as well. So it's pretty exciting, interesting. Just got word from the league that they have decided to push back, at least postpone the start of this season. So the CPL just announcing this now, and I'm just bringing up the actual announcement on my email as this has just come in as well. So yeah, breaking news is just coming in, and obviously something that everyone will be reacting to. So what we know is that they have pushed back the start. Commissioner David Klanikin has announced that they will not start the season on April 11th as we once thought. First of all, Kurt, your reaction to that news?
Yeah, I don't think it's really a surprise. As I mentioned yesterday, the league's owners were really hoping to play a full season, a 28-game season. They thought that they could accomplish that if preseason got underway, by the beginning of April. But then after Major League Soccer made a similar announcement yesterday where they were extending their, postponement for an additional 8 weeks, I thought it, made it really difficult for the CPL to not follow their lead on that. I think personally, what makes this difficult for CPL fans, for us at OneSoccer, for really anybody dealing with anything, is just the uncertainty of when the league will start, right? I think if we all knew that in 6 weeks' time we'd be kicking off, I think we would all be a little bit more comfortable. But it's just that uncertainty of now what's next, and I'm sure it's difficult for Chris to not know when he'll be returning to training. But yeah, tough because of, I guess, just the uncertainty, and there's no fixed date from the league, and they can't provide one. That's why. But there's no fixed date on when we'll get going again.
Yeah, not much to add to that, to be honest. We knew when they postponed preseason and the players aren't going to be back until at the earliest March 27th. There's no way you can really start on April the 11th when it's that close, to getting back into training. And then obviously Canada Soccer, put a blanket ban down on all football activity as well, and postponed their April 14th women's friendly. So it was inevitable after those two things happened. But like I said, the tough thing about this is, if we can start near the beginning of May, then things are okay. But we just don't know if we can do that, right? It could be longer than that. We don't know. So that's the difficult bit right now.
So everyone's staying in their homes a little bit longer. Chris, you've had the past week at home. How have you been keeping busy?
I mean, basically like all of us, Netflix, finding all the streaming services I can, a lot of PlayStation. York9 started a little FIFA tournament, so that's basically what I've been going on, and that's pretty much all I've been doing. I have a little makeshift gym in my little apartment with a bike and some weights, so I'm trying to stay as fit as I can while this break is going on.
What's the game of choice for you?
Right now it's been FIFA, and then I've been playing Nintendo Switch as well. I've been playing some Mario Kart, so I've been getting that going recently.
What's your squad then on FIFA? Who do you go with?
I've been PSG recently. I'm kind of like, Mbappe's fast. Neymar's got the tricks. It's kind of cheap, but I'll take it.
Yeah, you got to have that pace, I guess, whenever you're playing FIFA. Who's the best player on the squad, or who's the best player that you've gone up against in your time playing FIFA?
The best player on the squad right now, Roger Thompson's pretty good. He's pumped me a few times, so I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin. But yeah, I think he's been the best.
Kurt, Ollie, what are you guys doing to keep busy?
To be honest, going for walks, but it's been a bit strange, right? I think I'm in more of a sad mood today than I was yesterday. But every time I go for a walk and I pass the one on a sidewalk, I feel like we're just staring at each other in an awkward way now.
Yeah.
So it's a bit weird. I'm wondering what they're thinking that I'm thinking. Is this guy thinking that he wants to keep his distance from me, and should I walk on the other sidewalk? Yeah. So it's really uncomfortable. I don't like it. The idea that, I have to wash my hands now every 30 minutes, it's kind of freaking me out a little bit, but now I'm thinking about it more than ever. So this change of pace is really bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With you?
Not much, to be honest. I am doing very little except working, watching a few TV series, but yeah, it's we're like, what, 4 days in now to isolation, and it's getting pretty painful. So
Yeah,
I'm struggling.
so it's good to have like home activities, things that you can do, like play with the light bright. You know?
I need one of those.
Just,
Yeah.
just to keep things exciting and interesting. All right, yesterday's show was hosted by Adam Jenkins. You guys did a great job on that. You guys were talking about the CPL teams. You got halfway through the league because there's so much to touch on. You stopped though on right in the middle of Canada. Perfect place to stop as you were heading west. And Kurt, you presented the question to Oliver Platt, so I'll let you take this one again. Set him up for Valour.
I think we stopped because producer Kyle chimed in and said we need to be nice and let Oliver prepare his answer for this, because
yeah, that didn't happen.
Rob Gale, head coach Rob Gale out in Winnipeg, was incensed when he saw Oliver Platt claim that one of his biggest off-season targets, Arnold Mutu, Oli Platt decided to question the signing and say maybe it wasn't that great of an idea. So I'm going to let Oliver Platt clear the air right now. I'm sure Rob Gale is listening. So Oliver Platt, explain yourself. Why is bringing a player from the French league a bad idea?
Okay, well, the first thing is I don't think he's a bad player. That has never been what I've said, despite Kurt's best attempts to depict it that way yesterday. The way I'd put it, right?
You said it was a bad signing. Did you not say it was a bad signing?
Yeah, but it's a different argument. So
Okay.
the way I'd put it is, if you put Dominique Malonga on Valour last year, what does it do for them?
They might score 5 more goals.
Right. So does it fundamentally change their season? Does it put them in the finals?
No.
And we know with a guy, an international player who's over 30 years old, like Dominique Malonga or not like Bukamutu now, they're probably only going to be around for a year or two, right? In all likelihood. So my argument is, does it make sense to spend money on as good as he might be, a player of that type, when you're a rebuilding team like Valour? Or should you be investing those minutes and that money in a young player, someone who's going to develop, someone who could stick around for 3 or 4 years, or if not, even be sold on to a bigger club? That was my take on it. I'm not saying he's a bad player or he's going to be the worst signing in the league or anything like that. I just don't know if that's where Valour are at right now, adding those kind of veteran finished products.
Yeah, I think you can be sure that I'm going to be following up on that storyline throughout the season. But just real quick before we get Chris's kind of maybe take on, what he saw, if he watched Valour last year, or, just his take on the league in general. I think Valour's done a good job upgrading their defense. I think they've upgraded at the back. So we touched on those players. I think Amir Soto could be a really interesting player for them at center back. So I think Rob Gale's improved the team at the back, which they needed to do. But in terms of up front, I think there's still a lot of questions.
All right, Chris, instead of getting your thoughts on Valour, just want to know how you feel about getting these guys to weigh in on your play and performance on a weekly basis.
I'm excited for it. That's what comes with the territory, no? So whenever you're playing professional sports, you gotta take it. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
And then your thoughts on Valour. What do you thought? Have you watched much of CPL the past year? Did you follow our coverage?
I did, yeah, I did. I was obviously really interested to see what it was all about. It was a first year and a big project for Canada soccer and Canada as a whole. So I was definitely really interested. I obviously watched a lot of York games, close to home, and I knew a lot of the players really well. And I thought the league was actually much more competitive than I really originally thought it was going to be. And I thought it surprised everyone. And not only was it much more competitive, it was very competitive in general. And I was really happy to see that, and that's sort of what enticed me to come back and be a part of this. I didn't watch Valour as much. I watched my good friend Michael Petrasso score a lot of pens, but that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much my extent of the Valour coverage. And obviously I know the guys in the back as well, but yeah, it's that was pretty much my extent of watching Valour.
Yeah, Chris, you guys played in when you were with the Fury last year, you guys played in a pretty interesting series with Halifax, right? So just wondering, when you went into that series, were you expecting that level of competition? Because the narrative from where I was sitting was that the USL was kind of a step above the CPL at the moment, salary cap perhaps a bit higher. So were you surprised to, be in that tight of a series with Halifax, given where they were in the CPL standings?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I wasn't too surprised because I had watched them before leading up to the match. We obviously had to do our video and had to sort of break them down as much as we could. So going into the match, I don't think I was necessarily too surprised, but I was definitely taken back by how good they actually were. I thought in the first leg we were good, and then they showed their quality coming away and scoring 2 early goals, but no, they were a good side, and obviously they were lower in the table when we faced them, and it was just different because we were so used to USL competition that didn't really know what to expect coming into a CPL club, but it was a good test for us, and we were obviously happy to get the victory over the 2 legs, but yeah, it was going to Halifax, I think was something special because we had gone to a lot of USL clubs don't necessarily have the biggest fan base, and sometimes you're playing second teams from MLS, and the following isn't as great, but then as soon as we went to Halifax, it felt like a real soccer atmosphere. The fans were very rooting for their side really hard, and they were backing them, and it kind of pushed us to be better, and it was something to see, and it was a good place to be.
Yeah, Chris, we've heard a lot about the fan base and the atmosphere in Halifax.
Yeah.
We'll get back to your journey and your last year in just a little bit. Let's keep going and heading west with our CPL teams. FC Edmonton, disappointing year for them. Oli, what do you expect from them after what you've seen from their offseason?
I think they're going to change things up a bit. Spoken to Jeff Paulus a bit this week, and he's got a different system in the works compared to what they played last year. I think he feels really good about his defense. Didic is back. Ramon Soria is going to drop back in there as well. They brought in Duran Lee, who I think Paulus sees as a completely different player to the way he was used in Halifax. So that's going to be interesting. But it will be the same thing, I think, as it was last year for Edmonton. They need to find more creativity and more attacking quality. And if Boakai and Raul Tito and Zetterberg can provide that, then they can have a good year. But those are the kind of question marks on that team right now.
Yeah, story for me with Edmonton last year was Paulus risking quite a bit on the players he once knew, maybe the players that performed well in the NASL at one point. You look at a guy like James Marcelin, who comes in and just completely doesn't work out in the midfield for FC Edmonton. And Jeff Paulus thought he was going to be a massive component for them. Paulus, thought he could potentially be one of the best kind of box-to-box or holding midfielders in the league. Obviously, Randy Adwini-Bonsu had all kinds of problems. Some whispers that he came into camp unfit, never really got fit, injured quite often. One of the highest paid players on the team. He didn't work out there, and Tony Chani is kind of a stopgap. Came in, put in a few good shifts, but the veteran players just weren't there for FC Edmonton. And I think Edmonton, is going to lean on its local players again. They have, some contractual obligations with them. So we'll see how much guys like Duran Lee can come in and change things up. But Oli did speak to Jeff yesterday, so he has the best insight on that and how they're going to play.
We have two teams left, West Cavalry Pacific. We'll save that for another day because we've got a number of these coming up right here on OneSoccer's Twitch. So we'll get through all the teams. I'm sure revisit them as well. But let's get Chris involved once again. What a year it must have been for you with the Ottawa Fury. What were you hearing from the club throughout the season? Did you see it coming? What was the year like for you?
No, I mean, we didn't really hear much. To be honest, we were focused on the season. Obviously, we knew it would happen earlier in the year in January with the whole sanctioning stuff and with Canada Soccer. So we knew that was sort of something that they were working on in behind the scenes. But after it was said and done, we kind of just focused on the football. We just did our stuff. We never really heard anything about it. I mean, even leading up to the end of the year, in our last playoff game, we still didn't know. We were having our end of the year meeting, and nothing was mentioned. So everything seemed to be all right. And then sort of the news was dropped on us randomly, and it was a shock for everyone, and it was tough to see because I know the fan base was there, and I knew everything was in place, and the Fury was held true.
The fan base is still there. Fan base is still there, Chris. Come on, man.
Of course. At the time, we didn't know that Atletico Ottawa was coming in, so it was tough to see, and And then as soon as Atletico Ottawa was announced, it was, you know, I'd gotten messages to people seeing if I was going to come back and stuff like that. But, you know, they're really happy. But from our standpoint, we didn't really know anything, and it was just tough to hear and sort of grasp.
Yeah, we're gonna talk York9 eventually, because I know we want to talk about the club you've moved to, and there's some real exciting things happening there. But you know, you have it's a real interesting, you know, some real interesting insight into you know, what it was like to be an Ottawa Fury during that time, an Ottawa Fury player during that time. Were players making like contingency plans behind the scenes just in case? I mean, can you say every single player was 100% focused on the Ottawa Fury when there's all these whispers about leaving? I mean, yourself, were you reaching out to York9 to maybe see if that move made sense if, you know, the Ottawa Fury didn't exist anymore?
Really, I can only speak for really myself. I didn't talk to all of the players, obviously. Obviously, I had some good friends, and you know, we did talk about the things as naturally we would, and you know, sort of up in the air. But a lot of the guys were under like 2-year contracts still. They had time remaining on their contract. So as much as maybe you can talk about this, there's nothing really you can do. You're under contract. For myself, it was a little bit of a different story. I was at the end of my contract, so I was up at the end of the year. So naturally, as anyone would do, is you talk to teams, and no matter what it was, whether it be just to find a new club, see what was options available, and then, but also I was talking to Ottawa, and I was talking to Julian, and you know, a big potential was was to possibly stay in Ottawa still. And you know, I'd really enjoyed being with Julian. He had done so much for obviously the city and for myself. So obviously I wanted to see that route out and see what he had to say, and it was a real potential for me. So it was kind of devastating to know that it just come to a halt completely. But yeah, for myself, I was just doing sort of what was natural, so coming to an end of a contract and just trying to find other options for myself.
Yeah, did the whole Atletico thing just come as a complete surprise to you guys as well, or did you have any insight in that, you know, a potential club in Ottawa was in the pipeline?
No, nothing. No. When I had heard the initial rumors of a CPL team coming to Ottawa, I was first confused because I didn't know if it was going to be the Fury.
Right.
I didn't know if it was going to be the same owners. I had no idea. No one really knew. So when I had heard about it and sort of started reading a little bit more, I was surprised. I was surprised because I would have felt a little bit hard done by if it was the Fury, and if we didn't know. I think I would have been a little bit more upset, because I think, you know, Julian has a really good relationship with all of the players, and he's always been that way. So I would have been a little bit more upset if it was that way and it was him. But you know, reading everything and coming to terms with that was surprising, and was quite shocking, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously a heartbreaking end. Is there a bit of bad blood then? Are you looking forward to playing Atletico Ottawa next season or this season?
No bad blood, that's for sure. I mean, the people were obviously really respectful to me over the course of my 2 seasons there. I loved it. It was a second home for me. It was so close to Toronto that, you know, it really felt like I could see myself living out there. And you know, so no bad blood. I'm excited to go back to the stadium. I'm excited to see some familiar faces and get back into that stadium.
All right. So how nice is it to be home now? I'm spending a lot of time obviously at home these days, but to be back home, I'm looking forward to playing in front of the home fans, obviously, and family as well. What does that feel like for you?
It's amazing. Obviously my time at TFC was you know, when it came to an end, I didn't know if I was ever going to play professional soccer at home again. You know, you don't really get the opportunity to come back to either a club you had left or whatever. So I thought that, you know, sort of my TFC era and playing it in Toronto was over. And then when sort of the CPL started coming around, and obviously there was a team back in Toronto, I was quite intrigued to potentially have that back, and that feeling of playing in front of my family and friends again. So yeah, I was quite excited, and when that finally came to fruition, I was really happy.
Chris, I want to get your take on just staying on TFC for a little bit, and I think Oliver can give me his opinion on this as well. But guys like you, Manny Aparicio, other homegrown players that you know were once with TFC and once considered top prospects at TFC. What's just your opinion of, you know, the handling of youth players and academy players and homegrown players at Toronto FC, because not many of them have stayed on, or I guess been developed over a number of years. So do you have a thought on that, just now that you've been able to move on as a professional, just looking back at your time there, and maybe, you know, how the club handles those situations?
Yeah, I mean, I think the club does whatever they can to obviously help the academy products produce at an MLS level, right? And no matter what it is, they're always going to be trying to push you, and with a lot of money comes bigger name players, and that's obviously somewhere tough to break into when the money is being spent. But at the same time, whatever the coach believes in, if a coach thinks that an academy product is ready or not ready, there's not much you can do. It's up to a coach's decision. One coach thinks a certain way, and that's what you do, and you have to prove to him that you are ready. So I think it's just up to the coach's discretion, the manager's discretion, if he thinks that an academy product is MLS ready, or if he needs time to prove sort of improve himself on whatever it may be, physically, tactically, technically, whatever it is. So I think it's tough to say just like about TFC. I think it's just in general about academy products. If a manager thinks that the player is ready, then I think they're going to give him the opportunity, because you do see it, like obviously myself and Manny, and throwing even names in the past, Oscar Cordon and Keith
Yeah.
McAvoy, which guys who have come through the academy process potentially being touted as the next big academy product, maybe didn't pan out as what you initially had thought. But then you have guys like Liam Fraser, and then even now Jaden Nelson, guys coming through the academy, even Jordan Hamilton. So I think it's a case by case basis. I don't think they necessarily handle it bad or good. I think it's just depending on the manager's decision.
And I think you mentioned his name. I mean, even there's even people out there right now saying that guys like Liam Fraser aren't getting enough playing time. And this is a guy who's, appearing for Canada, against the United States in a massive Nations League game. And even he's not getting minutes for TFC. So, yeah, from where I'm sitting, it's just my opinion. It's, is the club doing enough to integrate those youth players and give them minutes and give them moments? Or is that not a priority? Some of it has to do with what position, guys are playing. But I don't know, Oliver, what do you think on that?
I think part of it is the lack of stability that was maybe at the club for a long time. Like we look at it now, and TFC are like a kind of model organization in MLS, and Vanny's in like what is 6th or 7th season, and they have a bit more of that stability now. And okay, Fraser's not really been playing, but you can see a few guys coming through. I think because they're that kind of club now, we forget that in the first 7 years of TFC, it was manager after manager after manager, and every time there's a change, I think it probably it makes it difficult to really have that long-term vision of bringing through young players, right, and giving them the development they need. So that's part of it. I think also it's just a case of you mentioned this, TFC are a wealthy club. They spend a lot on players, and with that comes big expectations that they're going to compete for trophies, and so kind of integrating young players who are going to make mistakes and need time to learn is kind of difficult in that kind of environment. But I wouldn't say they've been perfect about it by any stretch, but I think there's maybe some mitigating factors there that kind of explain a little bit of why there hasn't been so many young players coming through. This
is an interesting discussion, though, and Chris touched on it too. This isn't exclusive to TFC either, right? I mean, Toronto TFC is the team we're talking about right now, but this is an issue for the Whitecaps Academy as well. And you saw Brett Levi's plucked from Saskatchewan get minutes with Whitecaps at the proper, like the first squad, and now he's in Valour. So it's a challenge for all of these teams to get their academy players minutes. So Chris, I ask you this now. If you could go back to when you're 17 years old, would you go with the MLS Academy route, or would you sign with the CPL club knowing that you'll get minutes and an opportunity to grow?
At this time and age, you mean, if there was a CPL?
Yeah, sure.
It's tough to say. The MLS Academies were very good to me, and they're still very good. The infrastructure they have in place is amazing. I mean, if you've ever been to the Kia training ground, you're a professional from the moment you enter to the moment you leave. They have everything taken care of. So I think it's hard to say. Obviously, getting minutes is the most important for a footballer, no matter what. You want to play competitive games. You want to play in matches that are meaningful. I think it's tough. I really think that the MLS system is a good one. I mean, if there is a potential for MLS Academy players to come on loan to CPL clubs who are not ready to get to the first team, I think that could be a potential. So I think it's hard to say what I would do right now or what I wouldn't do. But I think that would be a good sort of offering if MLS Academy players could potentially get into CPL clubs to go on loan or something like that.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, and it made kind of. I remember when Kurt did the interview with Bill Manning a few years ago, where he was kind of quite antagonistic towards the CPL. And
that was such a good interview. That was such a good interview. That was such a good story. I'm not too mad, mate. I'm a tabloid guy, man. I'm a tabloid guy.
Well, that to me was surprising and didn't really make any sense because, like, Chris can speak to this better than I can, obviously. But in my impression when I was covering the club, I think there's a lot to like about the academy. The facility's really great. You're in close proximity to the first team players, so you really get those kind of role models and that kind of thing. But the big issue they have is the bridge between the academy and the first team, and the fact that TFC2, kind of hasn't really worked. So for me, the CPL is potentially a great thing for them because there's suddenly all these clubs that players can go out and get, first team experience with.
I agree. Yeah, and I think if you look back on sort of the TFC2 games that are being played, they're not necessarily as meaningful or as competitive as CPL games are, and that's just the fact of the matter. Is you look at even games like when we were playing in Halifax, as I can speak to the most, is that was a competitive match. That was a high level competitive match, and I don't think any like sort of TFC2 or academy game is really going to even live up to that measure. So I think it's only beneficial for every academy player, every young Canadian player to get into these meaningful matches. So I can't see why not, and why that would just be a good thing for me, in my personal opinion.
All right, guys, we have our first question from a viewer on Twitch. It is for Chris, and it is, what is the best CPL kit other than Y9? Fashion guy, so I know you got this.
Haven't even seen half of them.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. That's a tough one. To be honest, I really like Valour's black kit last year. I think was at their home. I think that I just go with that one. I really haven't seen any of them in action, so I don't know. It's tough to say with the new ones, but I liked last year's. I like Valour's last year.
I think that was their away one last year. It had like the red dots on it. I'll give you my opinion because I'm always giving people my opinion. I think the coastal kits, they look too similar for me. So Halifax and Pacific, I think they look way too similar. I actually like York9's. I guess it's the home kit. It's a white kit.
Yeah.
So, but for me, that's an away kit. For me, that is the white kit is an away kit. I like the home teams to have the color, like the green. I like the one last year. But the best jersey revealed so far is Y9's for sure.
Does that go into the decision making at all? You check out the kits, the color scheme, see what works with your wardrobe?
No, it's like I like Calgary's too. I'll say that right now. Not a surprise to anybody, but I mean, York9's. It's just a nice strip.
Calgary's the best in the league for me this year. I gotta say, I love this Y9 one. I don't like this year's one so much.
Really? No. I'm kind of the opposite. I like this.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Different tastes.
Yeah.
Who are you looking forward to playing against the most this season?
I mean, I guess Ottawa would be just for the sole purpose of me going back. Obviously we touched on it a bit. I think going back there is going to be fun. And then also Halifax, because obviously the two teams that I have somewhat experience, but the fans were so good and the atmosphere was amazing that I'm really excited to get back there.
Yeah. Pacific's got a bit of that too. I don't know if you've seen many of their games.
No, I haven't really much, but.
Yeah. What about the players in the league? You talk to many of the players in the league, see what they're saying, and did you get their take on what they thought from the first season?
Yeah, of course. I spoke to guys all around the league, as many as I could, and they were sort of surprised as well. Similar sort of feelings that I had. They were really taken back by the level, and even guys like I spoke to Skylar Thomas quite a bit, even leading up to the season, and he had experience in the USL, so I was kind of getting his take, and he said it was a really good level, and he was really surprised with how good everyone was and how professional it was, and everything ended up being really well.
That's one of the things I found really interesting this year, is seeing how close this group is, because a lot of you guys played youth teams together, or you played against each other growing up. You don't get that in any other league in the world, because everyone would always scatter and go into different leagues and move around the world. This league, it's the first time you've seen Canadian kids who grew up playing against each other as 13, 14-year-olds in this system, and then play in this league together.
Yeah, we have so many guys around the league that I know from either youth teams, national team camps, this and that. So I've come across quite a few of them. Either you hear their name, you know of them, but it's a close-knit group for sure.
What's the topic of discussion right now when you're talking to those guys and everyone's in self-isolation, everyone's trying to keep the toilet paper up or do whatever they need to do to keep their sanity. What are you guys discussing nowadays?
We're just talking earlier about getting back on the field. I think the question is obviously nobody really knows. There's uncertainty around not only the league, but obviously the entire world is on halt right now. So just trying to just talk about what we think potentially, how things are going, when we think we're going to get back on the field, training. Just basically just trying to keep the time passing and trying to find something to talk about. But obviously we don't know, the league doesn't know, nobody knows, which is the thing. But yeah, that's what we've been talking about the most about all around, is just trying to get back on the field.
Yeah, York9's a bit of a York9's a bit of a mystery to me right now, just given all the international influence that's coming in. We don't really know a lot about those guys. So one of the reasons we're looking forward to seeing York9 play is to see how that recruitment has been. But in terms of recruitment, some people on the outside are saying that one of the most important and influential off-season signings has been adding Paul Staleteri to that locker room, just to bring in something a little bit different, a disciplinarian. I know you weren't there last year, but what can you say about Paul and what he's brought, and the professionalism, the experience in Europe? What has he brought to the system at York9?
No, he's brought a lot. I mean, if anyone who's either worked with him or knows of him, he's very strict. He demands high intensity and all professionalism at all times, which is good, because everyone has to be on top of their game no matter what it is at all times in order to be the best. Paul sort of just drives us in a completely different direction. He's always on top of us no matter what we're doing. I mean, and his career speaks for himself. So if you look at a guy like him, he knows what it takes to be at the top level for a long time. So obviously you're going to take whatever you can and sort of grasp it and go with it, because he's done it, he's been there, and he's done it for a long time, and he's succeeded. So he brings a completely different aspect to the entire locker room, trying to drive us all and be better.
Yeah, I had a chance to watch you guys train a few weeks back, really early in preseason, and it kind of struck me, especially as we maybe asked some questions about York9's kind of consistency a little bit last season.
You asked some questions. You asked a lot of questions, Oliver Platt.
I think you did too.
You were called out by Jimmy Brennan during the first leg of the finals.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, yeah, I was watching you guys train, and it just seemed like really, for preseason, it was like really high tempo, and tackles were kind of flying in. I was a little worried someone was going to get injured. Did you get that sense as well, or was I just there on a good day? Or it seems like you guys were really into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you were there the day that I was flying into tackles, so I don't know what you're talking about. But no, I think that's exactly what he brings. He demands this high tempo, high standard from everyone, and it's been really intense, to be honest. I've been a part of quite a few preseasons, and this is definitely an intense one. He's got us running nonstop, and he's got us basically keeping fit and trying to stay as sharp as we can. But yeah, it's quite intense. I mean, the guys our tackles are flying for sure. I'll tell you that. And it's been not easy. So it's exciting though. It's fun. It's fun to be a part of.
How frustrating is that though, that you went through this, you went through a bit of it. Now you got to shut it all down. Then you got to pick it up once again. You guys got to do the beep test or whatever you have to do again.
I hope not. Yeah, I hope.
You won that, didn't you?
Yeah, I know, but I hope not.
Well, we have another question from a viewer on Twitch, and they're wondering if York9 has given you any specific workouts while you're at home.
Yeah.
Questions from Jimmy.
Let's see if
he's watching this. I guarantee you.
Keeping up on my workouts. No, they did. They've given us a program to stay as fit as we can. Obviously, it's tough because not everyone has, and myself included, not everyone has a gym we can go to. But yeah, they've given us some body workout stuff. Distance running. They've got to give us a program they said for 3 weeks. They've said it, so hopefully we don't get another 3-week program. But yeah, they've given us some stuff to do, a lot of body weight stuff.
And are you doing it? Are they checking in every day?
They're not checking in. I think it's we're not too childish. I don't think we have to be children. We don't have to be checked on. But I'm definitely doing it because I know if I come back unfit, Paul Staleteri is going to be on me to be running. So I got to keep fit.
Yeah,
good stuff. I know we're all doing our part to keep.
Yeah, I went for a run on Monday as well, so I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I just went for a run earlier today. found this interesting. Went for a quick jog and saw like Amazon packets basically left on the road. So I guess a lot of people are ordering Amazon stuff, but the Amazon thieves might be out taking advantage of this too. So make sure you pull in your Amazon packages right away, because aren't many people outside, obviously, and the Amazon thieves are probably taking advantage. So yeah, there's a quick tip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's on the docket for today? What do you have for the rest of the day, Chris?
Well, right before this, I was doing some interval running, which was good. And now it's just relaxing. Now it's the same old Netflix, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch kind of routine I've been going on.
What are you watching on Netflix?
Actually, my girlfriend has us watching RuPaul's Drag Race, so that's been on.
It's a good show. It's a good show. Don't laugh. No, don't laugh. No,
Kurt's big on this show.
Oh, no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
I had never watched a single episode, and then I'm now 3 seasons deep, so I'm invested fully.
You can't take your eyes off it, man. Once you start, and then it's on Netflix, so it just flows into the next show, and then it's. I mean, that's what the show's about, entertainment, right? So these are entertainers,
definitely entertaining. I love it. It's
amazing. Yeah.
Wife and I binge watched Love Is Blind just before the shutdown, though. Just before the ISO. I kind of wish I'd add that.
Fake, man. That show's so fake. Everything on that is fake. Don't fall for it.
Good, though.
Don't fall for it.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it though?
Did I watch it?
No.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I watched it. It's people that are talking. They don't see each other, right?
Right.
So and then they're trying to.
Me if you watched it.
I've watched it. It's silly. Like, and then they're trying to get married after that, and it's just all fake, right? And then it all falls apart. It's silly.
Lawson on reality TV. This could be a segment on its own.
I'm big on. Well, the one I'm watching right now is Love Island. So anybody from the UK knows all about Love Island. Absolutely. My wife has a subscription to Hey You, which is all reality TV. So we're just consuming Love Island right now. Actually, this brings up a good thing I was going to ask you, Oliver Platt, not on the show. There's the guy on Love Island right now who is a professional footballer, and he started his career at Milton Keynes.
Yeah, he was the captain of our reserves, I think.
Yeah, so your club, MK Dons, is apparently so low level that somebody can be the captain of the youth, the captain of the reserves, while also appearing on Love Island.
That's our 2 best academy products. Dele Alli is one, and then the Love Island winner is the other one.
Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, he won? He just gave it away. He won?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch it. I think he won, though.
His name is Finn.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend's name is Paige.
All right. Didn't know his girlfriend's name.
Yeah. All right.
Kurt is invested. Any recommendations, guys? Any recommendations for shows that we should pick up?
I really Love Island would have been mine, to be honest.
Yeah.
Every time I bring it up, Oliver makes fun of me. So
another good reality TV show is Are You the One from MTV. We've been watching. Have you ever seen that? That's another one that's been watching too. So it's been up there.
Which one was that? What is that? Sorry, I missed it.
Called Are You the One? There's 10 guys, 10 girls. They got to find their perfect match, and then
yeah.
So I was watching that.
Writing that down right now. Got it. All right. There's one question we're going to close every session with. It's basically, what are you looking forward to the most? 3 things you're looking forward to the most once this self-isolation ends.
Oh yeah. Obviously going out to dinner. I love going out to eat for like a good dinner either on a Saturday night. I'm actually obviously getting back onto the field and playing is like my 2, and then so I got to make sure that's in there. But it is for sure.
I love how you said dinner first. I'm looking forward to my dinners out. I don't blame you.
I'm going crazy cooking and nonstop. I don't cook this much ever. So going out to dinner is definitely one. Obviously playing number 2, and 3. Just getting back to my normal routine. To be honest, I don't really remember what my normal routine is anymore. Going to training and sort of just being a part. But yeah, just getting back to my normal routine has got to be up there. Like just everything it's been tough.
I've already given 2 of my 3. The first one being obsessive hand washing. It's just annoying me, and Purelling. Like it's too much, right? Like I can't do it anymore. The feeling I get on walks when I pass somebody and they're wondering if I'm thinking of them, and I'm wondering if they're thinking of me. It's just a weird feeling. The third one though, is going to a grocery store and knowing what I need is going to be there, because it was depressing on taco night this week when I went to the store and there were no beans. All the beans were gone. So going to a grocery store and knowing that my food's going to be there.
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's my 3.
Oli, anything?
I gotta say, looking forward to not having to worry about toilet paper would probably be the big one.
I already gave you a solution for that, man. I already gave you a solution for that.
Kurt's got a solution to this he loves, which is just buy napkins instead, which no one apparently is buying.
You're the one. Yeah, you're the one that sent me a picture that
I did. There is a full shelf of napkins in my grocery store, so he's on something.
Make sure you have a plunger for your clogged toilet after that too.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful. You got to be careful, but
it's safe. It says it's okay. I'm looking forward to going to the barbershop. Just something like that. Just going out in the public, getting a good cut.
That's probably the last place I will consider going back to.
Oh, barbershop. I love it. I have my 3-week routine. Just
people's clippings all around you, dandruff all around you.
First place is to shut down. Yes. So it's going to be a while before we end up doing that again, which is why I'm looking forward to it. Go to the movie theater is probably up there as well. But yeah, all that usual stuff. Everything that we take for granted.
Yeah, absolutely.
All my beans.
Those beans.
All right, Chris, thanks so much for doing with us. We're going to do this again next week. The show continues. Today it was called the OneSoccer ISO Cam Connection. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the Twitch stream for Kurt,
remember,
Oli, and
remember,
Chris.
listen to the experts.
Listen to what Kurt says. Have a good day.
Sometimes.